BNP Paribas, partenaire des plus belles histoires de Roland-Garros, aux côtés des ramasseurs de balles depuis plus de 50 ans.
Yeah, first round match was never going to be easy, but I managed to sneak through in 3, and I'm happy to get through. It wasn't pretty, but ultimately got the win, and that's all that matters.
Alexx, you've been talking recently about how much more comfortable you are on the red clay compared to 12 months ago. Can you just run through what specifically you're feeling good about, what you still feel needs to be adjusted, and really how comfortable are you?
Yeah, I'm feeling very comfortable on this surface. Everything from my movement to my shape to my understanding of how to construct points and what is going to be effective for me on this surface. Now, there's still plenty of areas that I need to get a little bit better, and that's probably weight of shot. It doesn't come as natural to me to play with a lot of spin and heaviness, and that's something that on the clay is obviously very effective and very important. So I have, over the years, gotten a lot better at that, and probably to take the next step, it's just getting a bit more comfortable with that and trying to break sidelines, I would say.
I might just follow that up. When you're doing that, are you doing that anecdotally, your own feel, or are you taking in the numbers? Are you looking at the numbers for yourself and I suppose some of your rivals or your peers?
No, I think over the course of my career, I've been pretty good at feeling my game out and feeling the areas that I need to improve, and it kind of goes based on the matches I play, the opponents I play against, and sometimes matchups, right? And over the years on the clay, I definitely felt it was very easy for opponents to outpower me and kind of bully me around the court because I wasn't strong enough. And thanks to getting 5 or 6 kilos more, getting a little bit stronger, and also learning how to move a little bit better and more effectively on the clay, it's definitely helped me hold my own on this surface to the point where I'm comfortable enough to play against anyone on any given day.
Alexx, can I ask you about your feet? They were on camera quite a lot.
Oh, jeez. I'm sorry for everyone who had to see that.
Talking about it not being pretty.
Yeah.
Problems there, or was it okay, just running repairs?
Yeah, it was nothing major. I often get my toes taped up before matches, and actually one of the toes that wasn't taped up was rubbing against the tape, so I just needed to get. There was nothing wrong on that toe, but it just felt like it was rubbing, and I thought, since he went for a toilet break, I might as well use this time to get that retaped. But yeah, I'm sorry for everyone who had to see my feet. That's not a pretty sight.
Alexx, can I just ask you how you found the conditions out there? I remember this time a year ago you were kind of wearing thermals and it was pouring with rain, and you had to battle through that. Yeah, how different is it this year?
Yeah, well, I still remember that match like it was yesterday. It was one of the tougher matches I've played, and the most proud I've been after it because of exactly that. It was cold, it was drizzling, it was miserable out there. Today was still pretty cold, it was swirly, it wasn't easy conditions to play tennis, but I remember from last year, if you're able to hang around long enough, normally it clears up and the weather gets a little bit warmer and a little bit sunnier, and that's what we're all kind of hoping to get to.
Are those conditions that you described from a year ago, is that about as tough as it gets for a tennis player?
Well, it kind of depends. It depends on every type of player and what they what are the likes and dislikes. But I would say for me on a clay court, playing against a big hitter at the time, which was Struffy, that was probably about as worst conditions as possibly it could get for me. So on the clay, I always rather when it's nice and warm and the ball's more on the livelier side, I would say.
Alexx, you talk about adding little pieces to your game. If you could borrow one element of another person's game on clay, what would it be?
I mean, I wouldn't mind having some 3 points on serve, I'll tell you that. That's always, but I feel like that's a little bit of a cop-out answer because you'd probably use that on every other surface. But on the clay, probably I would say, you know, like a heavier forehand. I would say maybe a Casper, Alcaraz type forehand where you can really get those revolutions, really feel that weight of ball without feeling like you're going to miss, and also being able to break sideline easily, which is, I think, very important on the clay. If you're able to break sideline and make your opponent get wider and wider, that's half the game here.
Alexx, another question about the clay. Could you go back to your junior days in Spain? Did you play a lot on clay during that years?
Yeah, I played it. I grew up a lot on clay, even though when I turned pro, I wasn't winning too many matches, but I did in those days play a lot of tennis on clay. But I was always not the traditional clay courter, I would say. My ground strokes were always a little flatter. I was always more on the aggressive side, and yeah, even though I played many matches as a junior on the clay, it was always a surface that I struggled to play a little bit more.
Pat Cash had the checkered headband. I think Leighton had the come-on range. Do you think you've got them covered with what you've got with the Demon? And how did it come about?
Geez. Well, I think for me to have that on the same, you know, to be mentioned in the same conversation, I probably need to win a lot more matches like they did, you know, and maybe a couple of slams that might help a little bit as well. As for kind of this, what I'm wearing right now, it's been a long time in the works with ASICS, and it's been something that I've been very passionate for a very long time. And along with my logo, we've been able to incorporate it into the foundation, and now to finally get, you know, some training kit, which I think it's pretty cool. So I'm very excited about this, and it's, you know, only the beginning, and hopefully I'm going to be able to, you know, as a lot of the greats in this sport have, you know, something else to be remembered by.
Has the kid from last year turned up? He was in Paris, in Bercy. I didn't see if he was, but did you make contact with him? How did it work this time?
Paul's here. He made it. He's got a very distinctive way of supporting me, which even though I wasn't sure exactly where he was sitting, I could definitely hear him, and I made contact with him at the very end of the match. But yeah, he's. It's great to have him around again. Hopefully, we can have a blast again this year. And I mean, as far as I know, if he's available, he'll be coming to all of my matches.
I'll just ask about your next opponent, Bublik.
He's won?
Yeah, it was just beaten. And you're talking about taking racket out of people's hands and having that weapon. He served 16 aces, 41 winners. how much of a threat is he going to be?
Yeah, he's going to be extremely dangerous. I think, you know, he went through a little bit of a rough patch, probably at the start of the year, and he's definitely found his game as of lately, and it's going to be tough because exactly that, he's unpredictable. He takes the racket out of your hands. He's obviously not going to want to hang in too many rallies, and he's going to try and have short points and break the rhythm out. So I've got to be both ready, you know, mentally, right, to expect anything and everything, and also make sure I'm ready physically from the very first point to the last, because there's going to be a lot of ups and downs, some good stuff, some not so good stuff, and hopefully I can maintain my level throughout the whole match and ultimately get ready for another battle in a very tricky match.